Uh, I was in the intelligence community for 16 years, five years as a contractor, 11 years as a staff employee. Um, I did traditional intelligence stuff, which isn't that exciting, so I'm not really going to get into it. But I I got a briefing, or I'm sorry, I got an email from Jay Stratton, not directly. It was forwarded like probably 40 or 50 times, and I got it in like 2019, and that's where I first heard of the task force, and that's where I became obsessed with this topic and did whatever I had to do to learn more and figure out who was working on what right within the intelligence community. And I found out a lot of stuff. Um, I'm pretty sure I found out where. I'm pretty sure I figured out the name of the program. I say pretty sure because I'm not 100%. I wasn't read into it, right? I had some data points, and then I had a conversation with a colleague at lunch, and it was like Fight Club. Like he couldn't acknowledge it, but uh, it was very clear in that conversation that I had just stumbled into the damn thing, and and uh, and then yeah, so I passed that information to some colleagues of mine, right? And hopefully it got into the right hands. And separate from all that, I had my own experience, NHI experience, where I heard uh, two voices like telepathically, talking to me for like 36 hours. So I know that sounds crazy. I don't have any history of mental health. I don't mental health issues or
Oh, can you get into the nature of these conversations?
yeah. They took so. I mean, it's all going to be hard to believe, right? I mean, this is like my kind of personal experience, right? But one voice or entity, right? Um, Identified himself as Malachi, and he told me that there were two factions, two factions of NHI, and one of them was had been quote asleep for a couple of thousand years, and that they're coming back, right? They're awakening, right? Whatever that means. And uh, Also that certain government agency was messing around with time travel. They're messing with the timeline, okay? And that this one particular group does not like that at all. And then uh, what else? They said that there is one group of NHI that will be exposed, like visibly exposed, all at once, and that this would happen the same time as uh, everyone kind of awakened. I hate using that word; it's a new age term, right? But I don't know what else to say. But it's almost like I guess you could say disclosure, but in almost like a like a
Okay. Real
kind of
quick, can I just jump in? Would you say this
please.
awakening could be more of a like a subconscious connection of everybody, or everybody's able to see something at the same time? Like when you learn about these things, they manifest or something in that way?
Yeah. So what happened was I was being so I don't know if this was like a vision, right? If this was just kind of showing me what the future could look like, but it was all of us were connected at once, like through thought. All right. And not only that, but you could have multiple conversations at once. So I could talk to, I could talk to like three people at once. That's what was being described to me. And at the same time this was happening, right? This 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 congressperson was I'm sorry, I'm just kind of jumping into this. It helps if I tell the story like linearly, in a linear fashion. But this congressperson was telling like the world what was happening. Okay, telling them about this program, the history of it, and what was happening now. So it was like a kind of a play by play. Like here's what's going on, and that this NHI faction that would be exposed, like they're walking among us, and they would be exposed all at once, like not in like a news investigation. right? But visibly exposed. So like, I assume that means like whatever tech they're using will just stop, right? And you will be able to see them. So I don't know if that means they're invisible now, right? If they look like someone else, but that's what was communicated to me.
Like a shadow biome, maybe.
I don't know. It could be. Yeah, I asked if there was going to be like any like what's going to happen, and um this Malachi entity said, they would be allowed to leave. They will be exposed, but they will be allowed to leave. So it's not going to be some mass killing revenge or something.
So everybody's gonna have this, I guess,
Ability.
subconscious hive mind. Would you
Yeah,
say
yeah, I would say hive mind, but I mean,
with a lower H,
people were still speaking for themselves, right?
right? Like
Um,
a hive connection, maybe.
yeah, it was like, yes, a hive connection, and that at least for me, like all my sins or all the wrongs I've committed against everyone, those had to come out. Those had to be aired, right? Like karma had to be like resolved, And so I was hearing Malachi speak to all these people in my life and saying all the I say bad stuff, but all, just times I've screwed people over, and I had to deal with that. It was rough. It was not. It was very traumatic. It was as this was happening. The two entities that interacted with me, um, they led me like on a spiritual kind of I hate to say journey. It sounds cheesy, but spiritual journey. That 36 hours. I was they had me. I mentioned this, and they had me. I was at a post office. Uh, I was at a post office and just standing there, and a man walks up, and instantly, Mother Gaia was like, "You need to go heal that man. Go heal him." And yeah, I didn't know what to do, but it's like you hear a voice in your head, like it's so powerful. You're just like, okay, all right, let's see where this goes. And so I went up to the man and I put my hand, I introduced myself and I said, hey, I would just like to, you know, say a little prayer for you. Would you mind if I put my hand on you? And I and so I did that, right? And I don't know if he was healed, right? I mean, it's not like he grew a leg or anything, So I don't know if he was healed, but he told me the older man, told me a story of when he was in I don't know Vietnam War or something, where he had stolen a jeep for the weekend, and an army jeep. He wrecked it, right? And then the voice was this Mother Gaia voice was saying, John, you need to listen. You're not listening. You need to listen harder. And afterward he finished, she said, you need to tell him he is forgiven. Tell him he is forgiven for this. And so I did. And then that was the end of the interaction. He said thank you, and he walked away. And I swear I thought for the rest of my life I would just be kind of walking around West Virginia performing like miracles. Like I had no idea where this was going, but that's kind of what my thought was. Um, so yeah, I do believe there's a spiritual side of
Do
this.
you think you connected to a higher consciousness and that's what this is? It's not NHI? Or do you think it's definitely NHI or you have no clue?
I mean, I don't think that. Oh, so that Malachi, he told me that he was my higher self, right? That was true. Like he was the end of all my incarnations. He was what remained, right? He is the end of. He's where I end up. I don't know if that's true, but that's what he told me. Um, and so he had a sense of humor. He was kind of he said I ate too many cookies, and I smoked too much, and kind of giving me a hard time. Um, but yeah, it was wild.
Maybe we could like just go through like the chronological of that encounter, why he was there, all that stuff.
Why don't you just do that now, Steve, if you could?
Yeah, so I'll just recount the story. So yeah, it was early '90s. This guy was in the military. It was on a base. and he had some work to do. Him and his convoy had some work to do out on the range. So they drove out. They drove out there, and I'm sorry. Before they drove out there, some security guys told them, "Hey, if you see anybody out in the range, you do not talk to them. You keep driving." And of course, he thought that was weird. And so he's driving out there, and and they stumble upon just a single dude who's out there, and then his craft is there too. It's in the background, and so the whistleblower guy gets out. He talks to the NHI in English vocally, right? And the being, the NHI being, ask him for an element, right, for his craft, I guess to get it working again, or maybe it's fuel. I don't know what the element is, but so they had a conversation, and he said, "Well, why are you talking to me?" And the being said, "Well, your buddy in the driver's seat, he's about to run me over. The guy in the back, he's he's freaking out, but you seem pretty calm about this." And so then they shifted from speaking to telepathy. And so this guy could hear the being in his head, and they were having a conversation. And so the guy asked him, "Well, why didn't you go to Area 51 to get what you need?" And the being said, "Those guys there are murderers." And what? And then he explained. The whistleblower explained to me the story. He told me the story of when he spoke to folks in the old program at 51. Who said they talked about a craft that landed and had 6 occupants. Only one of them survived. The folks at 51 took him, and then I don't want to say captured. They just brought him back, and then another craft showed up, and they were looking for their people, and apparently they had communication with the folks at 51, and the folks at 51 said, "Yeah, we don't know where he is. Maybe you should go look in the desert, see if he's walking around somewhere." And they didn't give him back. So that's it. That's the whole story that I heard, and then was posted.